Welcome back to English Unbound. Today, I want to start with a moment many English learners know very well. Someone asks you a simple question. You know the words, you know the answer. But when you open your mouth, nothing comes out.
I know that moment. It feels almost strange because in my head I can see the words. I may know the sentence. But when I need to say it out loud, everything gets messy.
And that moment can feel very personal. You may think, why can I read this, but I cannot say it? Or, why did my English disappear?
That is what it feels like. My English disappears. And then I start checking myself. Is this word correct? Is the grammar right? Will I sound silly? While I am checking, the other person is waiting.
I hear that, and when the other person is waiting, the pause feels bigger. Not because the pause is wrong, but because you feel pressure inside.
Sometimes the question is easy, like, what did you do today? I want to answer. I want to say, I went to the store or I worked from home. But I stop before the first word.
So today, we are not going to treat that pause as a failure. We are going to work with it. Because a pause is not the end of the conversation. A pause can be a small bridge to the next sentence.
Wait, that helps. So the goal is not to speak perfectly right away. The goal is to keep the conversation alive, even if I need a second.
That is the key. In this episode, we will learn simple ways to continue when your mind goes blank. We will use small phrases, not big speeches, and we will practice them together.
I like that because when I freeze, I do not need a long sentence. I need one small sentence that helps me stay in the conversation.
That is where we begin. Next, let's look at why we freeze when we are trying so hard to speak correctly. Last time, Anna, you said something important. You said the words are in your head, but they do not come out. I want to slow that moment down, not with a science lesson, just with a simple picture.
Okay, because when it happens, it feels very fast. I do not even know what goes wrong. 1 second, I am ready. The next second, I am silent.
Imagine a small doorway. Only one person can walk through at a time. But suddenly, three people try to go through together. The first person is translation. You are thinking in Chinese and trying to make English. The second person is checking. You are asking, is this grammar right? The third person is perfection. You want the whole sentence before you say the first word.
That sounds very true. I do that. I try to build the full sentence in my head first. Then I check every piece. And if one piece feels wrong, I stop.
And that stop makes sense. Your mind is trying to protect you from making a mistake. But in a real conversation, you do not need to finish the whole sentence inside your head first.
Wait, so should I stop thinking? That sounds scary. If I do not think, I may say something wrong.
I hear that. And no, the answer is not do not think. The answer is think in smaller steps, one step at a time. First, hold the meaning, then say a small piece, then add the next piece.
So instead of waiting for a perfect sentence, I can start with a small sentence.
For example, if someone asks, what do you think? You do not need a perfect answer. You can start with, I think, then you can pause, then you can add one simple idea.
That feels possible. I can say, I think, and then I do not need to know the whole answer yet.
Let's try a short reset sentence. I will say it first. I can start small.
I can start small.
Now let's add one more piece. I can start small and continue.
I can start small and continue. I like that. It gives me a way to move even when I am not ready.
That is the point. When your mind goes blank, the problem is not always empty English. Sometimes the doorway is crowded, so we make the doorway less crowded. One meaning, one small sentence, one next step.
I think I understand. I do not have to push a perfect sentence out all at once. I can make a small beginning and then keep going.
We will practice the first tool for that small beginning, giving yourself a second without feeling ashamed. Now we have the first small tool. When your mind goes blank, you do not have to fill the silence with panic. You can give yourself a second.
That is the hard part for me. When there is silence, I feel like I must say something immediately. If I pause, I think the other person will know I am not good at English.
I know what you mean, but a short pause is not a mistake. Native speakers pause too. They think, they choose words, they start again. So today, we will practice making the pause feel normal.
That feels kind of new. I usually treat a pause like danger, like, oh no, I am failing.
Let's change that. A pause can be a small sign. It can say, I am still here. I am thinking. And we can use one simple sentence to hold the conversation.
What sentence?
I will lead. Listen first. Give me a second.
Give me a second.
Now try it with Anna. Keep it natural, not scared, just steady. Anna, one more time.
Give me a second.
This sentence does not mean, sorry, my English is bad. It means, please wait, I am thinking. That is a normal thing to say.
I like that. It feels less heavy. I am not asking for help. I am just asking for a small moment.
Now let's try another one. I will say it first. Let me think.
Let me think.
Say it with Anna. Let the words be simple.
Let me think.
Now let's put it in a tiny situation. I ask you, what did you do yesterday? You freeze for 1 second. What can you say?
Give me a second.
And then,
Let me think. I I stayed home. I cooked dinner. It is not perfect, but I continued.
that is a real win. You did not need a beautiful sentence. You used a pause, then one small idea, then one more.
Wait, that helps. The pause did not stop the conversation. It gave me a place to start again.
That is the point. First, allow the pause. Then use a small phrase. We will learn more phrases that help you continue when the words are not ready yet. Now we have learned something very important. When your mind goes blank, you do not need to fight the silence. You can pause, you can breathe, and then you can use a small phrase to keep the conversation open.
I like the idea, but I still worry about the next part. After I say, give me a second, what if my English still does not come?
That is a very real question. So in this part, we will practice 5 rescue phrases. Not big sentences, not perfect sentences, just small phrases that can help you stay in the conversation.
Rescue phrases. I like that. It feels like I have something in my pocket.
A rescue phrase is like a small handle on a heavy door. When the door feels stuck, you do not push the whole door with your body. You find the handle, you hold it, and you open the door little by little.
So when my brain is blank, I do not need a full sentence right away. I just need a handle.
Let's practice. I'll say each phrase first. Anna will repeat after me. Friends, you can say it along with Anna quietly or out loud. Phrase 1. Give me a second.
Give me a second.
This one gives you a little time. It does not sound weak. It sounds normal. People need time to think.
That helps me because I usually feel guilty when I need time. But this sentence makes the pause feel allowed.
Phrase 2. Let me think.
Let me think.
This phrase is very simple. It tells the other person, I am still here. I am thinking. You are not disappearing from the conversation.
I like that. Sometimes my face is there, but inside I feel gone. Let me think brings me back.
Phrase 3. I know what I want to say.
I know what I want to say.
This one is powerful because sometimes you do know the idea. You just do not have the English sentence yet.
That happens to me all the time. In Chinese, the idea is clear. In English, the words are slow.
And that is okay. You can say, I know what I want to say and give yourself a bridge.
It feels honest. I am not pretending. I am saying, the idea is here. The English is coming.
Phrase 4. I can say it another way.
I can say it another way.
This phrase is very useful when the first sentence is too hard. Maybe you want to say something long. Maybe the grammar feels messy, so you choose a simpler road.
Like if I cannot say, I was disappointed by the result, maybe I can say, I felt bad about it.
That is not failure, that is communication. You found another way.
That makes English feel less like a test. I do not have to find the perfect road. I can find a road that works.
Phrase 5. What I mean is,
What I mean is,
this phrase helps you continue after a messy start. Maybe your first sentence is not clear. Maybe you hear yourself and think, wait, that was not right. You do not need to stop. You can repair it.
so I can say something, notice it is not clear, and then say, what I mean is, that feels very useful.
Real conversations are full of small repairs. Even native speakers do this. They start, stop, change, and explain again.
That makes me feel better. I always thought repair means my English is bad. But maybe repair is just part of speaking.
Now, tiny situation. Someone asks, why do you like learning English? Your mind goes blank. You do not know how to start. Anna, try using one rescue phrase first.
Give me a second. Let me think. I know what I want to say. I like learning English because it helps me see a bigger world.
That is a strong answer, not because it is perfect, because you stayed with it.
I felt the blank moment at the beginning, but the rescue phrases gave me a path. First, I paused. Then I thought. Then I found one idea.
That is the skill. When your mind goes blank, you do not need to panic. Use one small phrase. Hold the conversation open. Then say the next simple thing.
So the goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to keep going.
Keep going little by little. One phrase can become one sentence. One sentence can become one small story, and one small story can become real speaking.
I like that. When English disappears, I do not have to disappear with it. I can come back with one small phrase.
In the next part, we will take these phrases into real mini situations so your mouth can practice the path before real life asks for it. I like that sentence, Anna. When English disappears, you do not have to disappear with it. That is a small but powerful idea. Now let's make it more real. Not as a clean exercise on paper, but as three small moments that can happen in normal life.
That feels important because when I practice here, I feel okay. But when someone really asks me a question, my body gets nervous before my English arrives.
That nervous feeling is part of the practice, so we will not make the situations too big, just small enough to feel real. I will give you more support at first, then I will give you less. Friends, you can say the useful lines along with Anna quietly or out loud.
Okay, small pressure, small phrases. I can try that.
First situation, someone asks, "What did you do this weekend?" It is a simple question, but your mind goes blank for 1 second. You do not need a beautiful answer. Start by keeping the conversation open.
Give me a second. Let me think. I stayed home. I cooked dinner. And I watched a movie.
That answer works. It is not fancy, but it is clear. You gave yourself a second, then you said one small thing, then one more. That is how real speaking often grows.
I noticed something. If I try to say everything, I freeze. But if I say one small thing, my mouth starts moving again.
The goal is not to push out a perfect weekend story. The goal is to stay in the moment long enough to find the next simple sentence.
That feels much lighter.
Second situation, you get a short phone call. The other person says, "Can we meet at 10 tomorrow?" You need a little time, and maybe 10 is not good for you. This time, I will not give you the full path. Choose one rescue phrase, then answer.
Let me think. Tomorrow morning is a little difficult. I can say it another way. 10 does not work for me. Can we meet at 11?
That sounds like real English. Simple, polite, useful. You did not get trapped in a long explanation.
Usually, I want to explain too much. I want to say why 10 is difficult, what I have tomorrow, why I am sorry. Then I get lost.
A lot of learners do that. They try to be polite by adding more words. But sometimes polite English is short English. 10 does not work for me. Can we meet at 11? That is enough.
That helps. Short can still be polite.
Third situation. This one has a little more pressure. Someone says, "I think this plan is perfect," but you do not fully agree. You want to be kind and you want to be honest. Try it your way first.
I know what I want to say. I am not agree. Wait. What I mean is, I see your point, but I think we need more time.
That was the most useful moment in the whole practice. Not the mistake, the recovery. You heard yourself, you paused, and you repaired the sentence.
It felt uncomfortable for a second. I wanted to stop. But what I mean is, gave me a way back.
That way back is the skill. Real speaking is not a straight line. It has stops, small mistakes, restarts, and repairs. If you can come back, you are still speaking.
So I do not need to wait until my English is perfect. I need a way to return when it breaks.
That is a much better goal. A pause is not the end. A mistake is not the end. A simple phrase can hold the door open while your next sentence arrives.
I can feel the path now. Pause. Use one small phrase. Say one simple idea. Then continue.
Keep that path small enough to practice every day. 3 minutes is enough. One question, one pause, one rescue phrase, one simple answer. Do it often, and your mouth begins to remember the way. 3 minutes is not a big promise. That is why it can work. When a practice plan is too large, your day has to be perfect before you can do it. But 3 minutes can fit into a normal day, a tired day, a busy day, even a day when you almost forget.
I like that because I often make big plans. I tell myself, I will study English for 1 hour every day. Then one busy day comes and I stop completely.
A small path is easier to come back to. So let's make today's speaking path very simple. 3 minutes, three small actions, nothing fancy.
That sounds possible, but I know myself. If it feels too serious, I may avoid it.
Then we will keep it light. Minute 1. Choose one simple question. Not a hard question. Something from daily life. What did I do today? What do I want tomorrow? What was difficult today? One question is enough.
So I do not need a lesson topic. I can just use my own day.
Your day is already full of English practice material. Minute 2. Answer without writing a full script. Say one short answer out loud. It can be very simple. I worked today. I cooked dinner. I felt tired, but I kept going.
That part is a little scary. If I do not write first, I feel less safe.
Writing can help, but speaking needs a different muscle. For this practice, the answer can be rough. The point is to let your mouth meet the sentence before your mind edits everything.
My mouth meets the sentence. I like that. It sounds less like a test.
Minute 3. When you get stuck, do not stop the practice. Use one rescue phrase. Give me a second. Let me think. I can say it another way. Then say the idea in easier English.
So the stuck moment is not a sign to quit. It is the moment to practice the rescue phrase.
That is the heart of it. You are not training perfect English. You are training the path back to speaking.
Let me try with my real day. Question: what was difficult today? Give me a second. Let me think. Today was busy. I had many small things to do. I wanted to study English, but I felt tired. I can say it another way. I still practiced a little, and that counts.
That sounds like a real adult learner, not a perfect student in a perfect schedule. A real person who still found a small way.
I can connect this to something I already do. Maybe after I brush my teeth at night, I ask one question and answer it. 3 minutes. No notebook first, just speaking.
That is a good anchor after brushing your teeth. after making coffee, after closing your laptop. Put the practice next to something that already happens.
And if I miss one day, I do not need to feel dramatic about it. I can come back the next day.
Please keep that part. Missing one day is not the story. Coming back is the story.
I think I can do this. One small question, one short answer, one rescue phrase if I get stuck. I do not need to say everything at once. I can start small and continue.
That last sentence is a good place to finish today's practice. I can start small and continue. It sounds simple, but it changes the whole feeling of speaking English. You do not have to carry a perfect sentence in your head before you open your mouth.
That is a big change for me. Before, I thought I had to prepare the whole answer first. If I could not see the full sentence, I felt I should stay quiet.
And today you practiced a different choice. You paused, you used a small phrase, you said one simple idea. When the first sentence was messy, you repaired it.
I still made mistakes, but I did not leave the conversation. That feels different. I was still there.
That is the real win. Not perfect English, present English. English that stays in the room. English that can stop, breathe, and come back.
Can I try one final answer by myself?
Go ahead. Here is the question. Why do you want to keep practicing English?
Give me a second. Let me think. I want to keep practicing English because I want it to become part of my life. Sometimes I am tired. Sometimes I forget words. I can say it another way. I do not want English to be only a subject. I want it to be something I can use little by little.
That answer has everything we practiced. A pause, a rescue phrase, a simple idea, a repair. And most important, you kept going.
I can feel the difference now. I do not need to finish everything in one breath. I can say a little, pause, and continue.
That is the sentence to keep. You do not need to say everything at once. A conversation is not one giant sentence, it is one small piece, then another small piece.
That feels much more human.
And if you have stayed with us this far, that already matters. You listened, you followed the ideas, maybe you repeated some lines with Anna, maybe you only listened quietly. Either way, your English brain spent time with real sentences today.
I like that. Sometimes I forget that listening is also practice. Staying until the end is also practice.
You did not need to speak perfectly to learn something today. You gave your ears, your mind, and maybe your mouth a little more time with English. That is not nothing. That is how progress often begins.
So, today's small win is I stayed, I listened. I learned a way to come back when I get stuck.
Here is your small task for today. Choose one simple question. Maybe, what did I do today? Or what was difficult today? Answer it out loud for 1 minute. Use at least one rescue phrase. You can say, give me a second, let me think, or I can say it another way. Then continue with one simple idea.
One question, 1 minute, one rescue phrase. I can do that.
Keep it small enough to return tomorrow. When your mind goes blank, do not disappear. Pause. Breathe. Come back with one small phrase. Your English does not need to arrive all at once. It can arrive little by little.
Thank you for practicing with us today. I hope you feel a little lighter and a little more ready to speak again.
And from both of us here at English Unbound, thank you for spending this time with us. Take your small win with you today. We will see you in the next episode.
See you next time.
Keep going little by little.